and welcome to another show. A new report by Accenture titled, well, it raises the need for a new business playbook for growth, life-centricity. So what's going on? We're going to learn about the 5 distinct ways that companies on the path towards life-centricity, a new organization-wide growth approach and capturing growth amid uncertainty. So businesses take life-centric paths to grow and sustain relevance. And why is that? The need comes amid the natural push and pull within customers' behavior today. We're all changing, noting increasingly unpredictable, well, even paradoxical behavior, driven by life forces such as economic, social, environmental, and political instability. So as people face these constant volatility in their lives, they're continuously reassessing their values and their sense of purpose. So to understand these centric paths, Nevine El-Warraky, global consumer goods leader at Accenture Song, has decided to come on board, and I'm so pleased. Welcome, Nevine.
Thank you, Mark.
Look, I know it's probably can't be answered in one sentence, but what is life centricity?
Life centricity, as you said earlier in your intro, in the context of the changing macro environment we're in, the pandemic, the war, and all the macroeconomic fluctuation, we're seeing people have started behaving slightly differently. They've reconsidered their purpose, their values, they've reconsidered how they make purchasing decisions, and sometimes even make conflicting decisions. So in that context, what we're seeing from our research is that it's really important to move beyond customer centricity and understand customers as people in the fullness of their lives. And it's only that full understanding that allows businesses really to start looking at growth strategies in the new environment.
Well, what is driving, do you think, the importance of a life-centric approach to growth?
Because people are making decisions differently now. The paradoxical changes, the decisions they're making means that everything we knew about customers in our previous lives has potentially changed. We need to get reacquainted. Like I said, we need to understand them in the fullness of their life. And without that knowledge, it'd be pretty difficult for businesses to review their brands and services and build a relevant brand or experience for growth in the future.
Well, your research, based on over 1,700 of the world's leading C-suite executives, identified a nearly unanimous challenge globally, with 95% of executives saying their customers are changing faster than they can change their business. And furthermore, while 95% of executives are accelerating digital transformation efforts, 97% feel that those efforts merely allow them to keep pace, not even to achieve new growth and customer relevance. Well, what can leaders do you think, to develop a life-centric strategy and create momentum then for the future?
Of companies that were taking a slightly different approach, and we identified 5 strategies or plays that will help them deliver relevant growth into the future. The first one will not be a surprise. It's about gaining this profound understanding of people in the fullness of their lives. And then once you do that, you need to think about how you broaden your own canvas in terms of value creation. So think about more than just the financial measures. Think about what more you can deliver within what you offer people so that they perceive value within it. Mm-hmm. And then think the third thing I would say is around, expanding the boundaries of the industry you're operating within. Can you think a little bit differently? Can you offer more? Can you expand what the current norms are? And then when you've done that, look at the experience continuum. So not just sporadic one touch point experience type thinking, but actually ongoing basis. And then the fifth play, which I always think is underrated, but is quite critical in the environment we're in, is around this fluid operation that you need to build across functions, which often means that you're having to change the culture of the organization, break down silos between the functions, and look at different ways of delivering, efficiently. The companies we've seen in that space have adopted 2 or 3 of these. We haven't really seen many adopt the full 5, but that's what we've identified as the plays for life-centric growth.
So it really comes down to 5 life-centric ways to drive growth. And the headings are basically gain a profound understanding of people. Yes, I agree with you there. I don't think a lot of in fact, you know what frustrates me, and I know it does with friends, and therefore it must frustrate thousands of others. You can't even contact anymore, Nevine. You know, you can't get anybody to serve you on the phone hardly. Support. Everything's just go online. Go on. I'll read this, read that. I mean, Google's the worst, you know, when it comes to that. What do you think?
I think it's really difficult to comment specifically on one company or one service, but I do think if you provide the appropriate experience online, it shouldn't be as frustrating as you're describing. It should be quite seamless and fluid, and you feel like you're genuinely getting what you need out of it.
Well, this is it. I mean, as you said before, people are rethinking their sense of purpose. They expect businesses to align with their values, Anyway, another one is broaden the canvas to create value and creatively transcend category and industry norms by a deeper understanding of customers' lives. What's your understanding of the best way that they're going about this to understand us better as customers?
So basically, it's looking at where growth is going to come from in the future. Back to the idea of the values, looking at within the boundaries of that industry. You can't keep delivering exactly what you've delivered for years or what the industry has delivered to people for years and expect growth into the future, particularly in the context of the changing values. So look at where the boundaries can be expanded. What more can you be doing for people? This isn't necessarily about spending more on what you're offering them. This is about thinking differently. Is there an adjacent category you can borrow from? Can you rethink how people are getting what they need out of your industry? And it's through that creative thinking that genuinely people rediscover brands and services and stay with them for a lot longer.
And, to design a delightful experience continuum, the full scope of the customer service needs to be thoughtfully considered. Yes. And to build a fluid operation across functions. How do you understand that better?
Well, I think we know that misaligned teams that operate in silos develop organizational inertia. You don't move fast, you don't respond quickly. And I think the days where you have siloed functions within an organization are long gone. If we really want to be able to respond to changes in people's lives and their needs, we need to sort of operate much more fluidly. So this is not just about organizational structure, this is about how we work together. This is about the partners you end up working with externally. And it's about a culture that focus very much on the life-centric needs of people and pushing together in the same direction and leadership that supports them. So it's as much about how you operate and as well as the culture that allows you to do that into the future.
Well, other than the obvious, Nevine, why should businesses adopt these strategies?
Because if they don't, I think there is a real risk that they end up shrinking. Our modeling suggests that not only are the people that adopt it likely to outperform on customer lifetime value by 5%, the people that don't are likely to shrink into the future. So I'm not sure it's much of a choice.
No, and I mean, I can understand, the push towards remote and working from home. That saves them fortunes in holiday pay and all sorts of things, but you still got to have service, haven't you? It's still the number one human connection that we really relate to as purchasers. I
agree completely. And part of the value that we've seen in terms of the changes that people are thinking, human contact, human connection, and understanding of what they value is absolutely critical.
So it's very interesting stuff you've brought up here on our little chat this morning. Is there somewhere my listeners can go to read a little more, perhaps?
Yes, of course, on Accenture.com. The full research is there.
Oh, what is that again, if you don't mind?
It's on Accenture.com. Everything's there.
Oh, okay. All right, just Accenture.com. Big company, great website. Everything's there for you to look at. Have a read about this. It's interesting because it affects us listeners, directly, quite frankly. Interesting stuff. Nevine El-Warraky, Global Consumer Goods Lead at Accenture Song. Thank you, ma'am. Have a lovely week.
Thank you. Thank you for having me on.